Hi everyone, welcome to Chapter 3. I want to let you know that I've been having some trouble, hey, quiet down! It's getting kind of ugly and, quiet! Getting kind of ugly in my office, and that's why I've been having a hard time doing lecture captures. It's been kind of ridiculous, but I came into my office and there were, a whole group of farm animals in here. I don't know what the heck is going on. I'm going to do the best I can, though. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. We're talking about proteins. This brings us back to the theory of chemical evolution, where we left off in class, where it's a series of endergonic reactions. Remember endergonic? Production of small organic molecules, right? This happened in the primordial soup, right, with electricity and solar energy causing formation of small compounds. From those small compounds, we could get mid-sized molecules, amino acids, simple sugars. Those would then in turn form larger molecules, proteins, complex carbohydrates, and life became possible when one of these molecules self-replicated, probably an RNA molecule. In this chapter, we're going to talk about proteins. Proteins are made up of amino acid. The small monomers, one, mono, mer being a thing, right? The building block. Proteins are made up of amino acids. Only 20 of them. Different combinations of the 20 amino acids produce all of the proteins that we have in our bodies, that we use, that are on this planet, the same 20 amino acids. In almost every organism, they're identical. Amino acids we need to be able to recognize. In Biology 380, you will have to draw them. In biochemistry, you will need to draw them. Baby steps here, we are going to be able to recognize them in contrast to all of the other monomers of biological molecules, right? We talked a little bit about in class, glucose makes up carbohydrates, nucleotides make up nucleic acids, amino acids make up proteins, and fatty acids make up fats or lipids. So we're going to learn about amino acids and we're going to learn how to recognize them, okay? All amino acids have a hydrogen, a nitrogen, and a carboxyl group, and then a variable R group. Okay, they call it an R group, like X. Solve for X in algebra, it's the R group. Any of the side chains. It's the generic term for the side chain. Okay, so a hydrogen atom, and an amino group, right, nitrogen containing, and a carboxyl group, and then this R group or side chain. NCC is what we will recognize, then with a bunch of hydrogens on it, and an R group. That's how we recognize an amino acid. If we look, here would be a non-ionized form of amino acid, essentially with its proton. Okay, I'm not going to ask you the difference to tell me, ooh, is this ionized or unionized? But some of the pictures you're going to see, some of the pictures will look like this with the hydroxyl group. Most of them will actually look like this without the hydroxyl, right? Without the hydrogen there. But you need to be able to recognize that this is an amino acid either way. How do you recognize it? NCC, NCC, NCC. All of them have NCC. This R group or side chain might be some big ring structure. We'll look at all the amino acids, but they all have this central NCC. As soon as you see that, you go, boom, amino acid. Then what kind of amino acid is it? So how do we know what amino acid it is? We look at the side chains. 20 amino acids only differ in the R group. Every single amino acid is NCC with just this R group that's different. All the other stuff on here is exactly the same. Okay, so the properties of the amino acid, what they're like, what their category or characterization is all about that side chain. They can be acidic, basic, uncharged, polar, right? Either one of these is automatically polar because these are negative and positively charged. Okay, negative or positively charged, and then nonpolar. So those are the 4 different groups. You're going to have to recognize that it's an amino acid and what of the 4 general groups is it actually in. So here's all the amino acids. All 20 of them, right? Here are the ones that have a nonpolar side chain, a polar side chain, electrically charged. How do we recognize these? Okay, nonpolar side chains, all the ones highlighted in green, those are the side chains. What about the main part, NCC? Is this exactly the same? Exactly the same. All of these are exactly the same. What's the only difference? The side chain. The side chain, the side chain, the side chain. The electrically charged ones are the easiest ones. The acidic ones are negatively charged. Okay, the side chain. Don't look at this part because in this case they're showing it ionized. All of them have charge. Please don't say every single amino acid is acidic and charged because the NCC is exactly the same on all of them. Always has that negative charge. You have to look at the side chain. Right? This is a negative charge. This is a negative charge, right? That little guy, the oxygen. What about basic? Positively charged, positively charged, positively charged. Okay, in the R group, right? These are the R groups. The colored highlighted are the R groups. If the amino acid has a nonpolar R group, it's hydrophobic. By definition, things that are nonpolar are hydrophobic. Expel water, right? Scared of water, phobic. No hydrogen bonds. They can't. It's nonpolar. Right? Coalesce in water. That just means doesn't dissolve, just sits there, expels water. Not charged, not able to forming any bonds with water. The opposite would be the polar R groups. They're hydrophilic. They love water. They dissolve in water, right? Readily dissolve. They form hydrogen bonds. That's why they dissolve in water. How do we recognize them? Well, they're not charged. There's no way they could interact with water. There's no charge on any of these. So you don't need to memorize every side chain. You will for 380 because you'll be asked to tell me exactly which one is this. Not that it's just nonpolar, but which amino acid. For us, you're going to see an amino acid and you're going to say nonpolar. That's all you need to get to. You need to say it's an amino acid because on the exam, you're going to also have to deal with nucleotides, fatty acids, and sugars and not get those confused. What do? NCC, always an amino acid. That's how we recognize. Polar side chains, not electrically charged, but polar are going to be ones that have hydrogen bonding, right? Some large electronegative atom, usually with a hydrogen. That's partial positive, partial negative. That could be an oxygen. It could be a sulfur. It's a big atom with a hydrogen. The sulfur is going to be partial negative. The hydrogen is going to be partial positive. It's polar. Nitrogen's another one, right? Nitrogen's going to be partial negative. Hydrogen's going to be partial positive. Can form hydrogen bonds, right? With water. Woohoo! What about the electrically charged? We already talked about these. Those are easy. They have a stupid charge in the R group. Positive or negative. Positive is basic. Negative is acidic. The only way you can mess this up is if you if you look at this part and say, oh, they're all... But all of them have that. Please don't do that. Has to be the R group charged. Electrically charged R group. Side chain. Not NCC. Side chain. So what do we need to memorize? What do we need to know? This slide. Memorize this. These are the rules for determining what kind of amino acid you're looking at. You have to get to it's an amino acid first, NCC. Then you ask yourself, does the side chain have a negative charge? If it has a negative charge, it has to be acidic. Does the side chain have a positive charge? If it has a positive charge, then it has to be basic. That's all it can be. If the side chain is then uncharged, then, we have two options. It could be polar or nonpolar, right? We don't know yet. Does it have an oxygen atom? If so, this highly electronegative oxygen will result in a polar covalent bond and it is uncharged polar. If the answers to all three questions are no, then it's nonpolar. So let's use these and see if that works. So here we go. If you were just given this, what do you think? Oh, jeez. Okay. Oh, my. Okay. Oh, jeez. Sorry, I'm working under just conditions that are ridiculous. So what about this guy? What do we think? Okay, first, if we had other molecules, we'd say, I see an N, a C, and a C. Okay? So that means this whole part is the main part, right? The main NCC of our amino acid. We'd say amino acid. Which means what? This is the side chain. Yes? Yes. So we go through our list. Does the side chain have a negative charge? Negative charge? No. So it cannot be acidic. No. Does it have a positive charge? No. Cannot be basic. If the side chain is uncharged, yes. Does it have an oxygen atom? No oxygen. Okay. So, if so, then it would be uncharged polar, but it doesn't. No oxygen means it must be nonpolar. Nonpolar. And there you go. It is nonpolar. It's methionine. Nonpolar. So far, so good. So let's try this one. And this is going to be homework. Homework. Okay, iPad upload number. In this assignment, you are going to tell me, well, we know that it's an amino acid. So please write that. And then work through our rules. Go through. Does it have a negative charge? Does it have a positive charge? Does it have an oxygen? Right? What is it? So you tell me acidic, basic, polar, nonpolar. Okay? Then you can go back and tell me which one it is. Go look at the chart and tell me which one. Please do this. Yes, you could just go look on the chart and get all the answers, but then you won't be able to do it on an exam. So please don't fall into that problem. Please do these, okay? You're going to get credit no matter what. I won't know if you went and looked it up and just wrote the answers down, but I will know that you did that when you don't pass the first exam. So please, I'm begging you, please. Okay, thank you. That's just a little public service announcement. What about this one? What do we think? We can use our rules with this one and try to figure it out. This one might be a little bit tricky, okay, because our rules say, what are we looking for? We're looking for oxygen. So keep your eye on this one and work through it, and hopefully you will be able to figure this out. We're going to say homework, right? iPad upload. Okay, it's going to be called proteins. Number 2. Again, Monday, Feb 2. Work through this one, then go look it up and see if you're right. See if you can figure it out first, then look back and make sure you're correct, right? And go back to your rules and think about your chemistry. Okay, think about your chemistry with these rules. And then here's this fun guy. Yes, yes. It's upside down. The R group's up here. Don't let that fool you. NCC, NCC. Same idea. This is going to be homework. Proteins. iPad. Upload. Number 3, February 2. Same rules as the others. You guys are the best. We're going to continue this in another lecture capture. I really appreciate all of your hard work and your ability to sort of put up with the Okay, that's appropriate, right? Pipe down! Okay, with that, we'll say goodnight. Bye, guys. Thank you.